What up? Your boy C. Rizzy coming at you with Unit 4, Lesson 4, using corresponding parts of congruent triangles. Our essential question is what other methods can be used in proving two triangles are congruent? And our objective is to use triangle congruence and corresponding parts of congruent triangles to prove that parts of two triangles are congruent. So if you know that two triangles are congruent, then you know that every pair of their corresponding parts is also congruent, otherwise known as Cpctc, which stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Cpctc. Okay, so here's a small little proof. We're going to do a quick two-column proof. So prove to me that angle C is congruent to angle E. So we have our givens. BA congruent to DA. Given. We have CA congruent to EA. Given. So I want to prove angle C is congruent to angle E. I can't do that until I prove these triangles are congruent first. So luckily I have vertical angles here, so I can say angle CAB is congruent to angle EAD. And we should all know that that's vertical angles. So now I can prove triangle CAB is congruent to triangle EAD by, what's our reason here, side angle side. Now, so far this is where we would stop, but that's not what my proof statement is. My proof statement is prove angle C is congruent to angle E. Well, since I know these triangles are congruent to each other now, I know that all their remaining corresponding parts must also be congruent. C has to be congruent to A, B has to be congruent to D, and even this side, CB has to be congruent to ED. But I just want angle C congruent to angle E. That's now true by Cpctc. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, here's another proof. I want you to just pause the video and try this one out on your own. Remember, you have a midpoint, and you're looking for angle AMB congruent to angle AMC. So take a second, pause the video, come back, see what the proof looks like. Okay, so here's the proof. You have your given. M is the midpoint of BC. Because the M is the midpoint of BC, BM must be congruent to CM by definition of midpoint. MA is congruent to itself by reflexive property. So these two triangles, MAB and MAC, are congruent to each other by side, 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 which means that angle AMB must be congruent to angle AMC by Cpctc. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, name the postulate or theorem that you use to show the triangles are congruent. Explain why it's true. So I know that triangle ETA is congruent to triangle MTA by SAS. So EA then, EA here, must be congruent to MA by Cpctc. And this triangle, again, I've got reflexive property here. So triangle JUN is congruent to triangle JEN by SSS. So angle U then must be congruent to angle E by Cpctc. So that's it. All you got to do is prove triangles are congruent, and then every other one of their corresponding parts are congruent. Don't forget your quiz tomorrow. Cpctc. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent.